So
interesting swapping up here where
more swaps.
I assume part of the nature of the swap here is that we won't be seeing EM run Widow, where also interesting choice just because you can make Widow work on Hollywood. And no, as I said, that you have Hanbin that's still gonna go Widow. So I'm curious why they're going to swap, as you know, XC also very good on Widowmaker, but neither here nor there. It's gonna be EM rolling out here, and Hanbin swapping over to the Vegeta. So the Widow is just taking a quick look at things.
So we're looking at the mirror matchup here. Both squads running that Sombra Goats. As see Doha moving behind, gonna be getting this poke here from the cafe side, having a little duel with Ace as well. He's gonna get caught out there, and you see that now WGS, because of this duel from the poke damage from before, they're gonna be rotating as Element Mystic move up onto the high ground.
And EM, of course, main goal here, build EMP quickly, but because it's a Sombra on the other side, they can be a lot more aggressive than the standard 3-2-1 Sombra. It's not as if they're outmatched, so they can play a little bit more in the face of WGS here. And Doha barely winning the battle between EMPs on both sides, but Ace starting to even it back up. Meanwhile, you see EM, presence on the point, they get Inocast down. The early pickoff, that's going to be very good for them. They're able to heal on up. So as Alpha gets a little bit more, they're able to stabilize 6 on 5. It's going to be very difficult for WGS to bring this back, where, okay, you have an EMP about built up, but you can't really use it right now.
Can't use it. MCD does go down, but they definitely should not commit it. That's going to be first. And Element Mystic, once again, out-rotating WGS. All they had was Doha go behind in the cafe side, poke WGS, made them fall down, and then they wanted to come back and recontest, but Element Mystic were already there. They had the superior positioning. Eventually, they get that pick onto Gable-She because of that superior positioning, because of that aggression where they forced out that bubble early. And that's the first fight. It was an ult neutral fight, too. No ults for either squad used. We're looking at an EMP for both the teams here as well.
There's going to be a slight advantage to the EM here, and Ace immediately dropping the EMP. Hits 5, they use it to take down Sparkle. Ace giving up his life for that, and EM actually able to disengage. They're going to be able to go back in immediately. Doha ready to go with an EMP of his own, and down 1. They might use it here quickly, or for now, just enjoy the free payload progress. WGS is not retreat.
Now, Element Mystic realized that as soon as Ace is gone, they have the superior shield pressure right now. They have a DPS, they have that Sombra up, so they can just shoot Inocast's shield and make them back up because there's no Divvy to eat the damage, there's no Sombra to pressure them. They know they're ahead in the fight, they don't want to commit EMP. Now Element Mystic are going to look for that engage, probably looking for a EMP shatter here.
Oh, they go for the EMP, and there's the shatter. You are the prophet once more. Valentine immediately down as a result. Nano boost coming in on the Inocast, but even with Alpha falling, just by charging fearlessly into the Nano Rhyme, doesn't even matter as much. EM is still getting very good progress here. They're turning the tide of battle in their favor. They're going to get the last few pickoffs, and that works really well for EM.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't have to use the EMP early. They win a fight that's much more decisive now because Noah used not only the Nano boost, but Valentine also drops that rally. However, they did not have the fastest cart time, though it was consistent, so WGS can recontest. They have a grab. Sparkle has grabbed his own. They need to be careful not to be caught here with the grab off the point. As you see, Gable-She actually goes first and forces that Transcendence.
That's enough to force out Transcendence Sparkle. And drop
they don't touch point!
Pass under heavy pressure. No, yeah, that's the biggest problem there. That's not a point, so EM could even lose this fight. It wouldn't matter, but they still get Inocast. They're still going to win the fight. But it's not even going to have the delay normally because it does take a while for the doors to open, and the doors were opening while EM was just winning the fight.
That was actually looking like a potentially strong engage for WGS, but they just weren't able to stay on the point because of that counter grab from Sparkle. And they were assuming they were going to be able to touch payload, but Sparkle just kept them off. And when there's no D.Va on the field, the grabs, they can move your team. They can be much more impactful because there's no D.Va to worry about. And while Noah's on the honor, there's no trance. Now WGS has to come forward and look for a recontest.
Doha gonna strike first with the EMP, hits 4. Doesn't hit Ace on the other side, but Ace unable to EMP before Inocast ends up falling on the other side. Doha with another 2, close to 3. And now EM just casually moving forward right now. WGS at a really tough spot. Ace just going to be forced to come out as spot and try and go for the panic EMP. Doha might be sleeping, but the protection force over there with him. EM real close to saying a quick time here on Hollywood.
WGS moving back on for the recontest. There's another EMP coming out for Ace. Catch him unique. Is able to get the beat off, keep everyone alive. The rally's out, the grab is down, getting the trance. Can they clean up anyone in the grab? They need to clean up because this is a last fight territory if Doha builds this EMP and Sparkle has the grab because they're going to be worried about that ult cycle.
WGS investing the last of their ults here, but guess what? Sparkle builds up grab mid-fight, low HP, but still alive. 2 for EM, and EM on the victory push right here and now. WGS down the 4, and the EMP gonna cut them down even more so. Hanbin and MCD there at the fall through, and EM saying a very quick time here on Hollywood.
A very quick, a very consistent time. They were measured with their ult game. They stayed in the fights they knew they could stay into. And really, I find it, WGS, they definitely are having more and more trouble as the series goes on with executing off of their advantages. Doha was slept. Noah slept Doha. He had 38 HP, was sitting on low ground. And not a single member of the WGS was able to get there for rotating time to actually finish him off. Doha stays in that fight. There was no early pick. And they're in a situation where they have to trade out ults. They have to fight here. And even with Alpha going down and those support ults used, they never get Gable Sheet, or Sparkle, I should say. And then they just commit the grab, get those frags, and EM have the point presence, have the man advantage again. And it's all off. WGS is not able to find any opening picks, able to capitalize off the advantages they create.
And what we're seeing here is just an outplay on multiple levels, right? Between both teams, where not only is EM just having better ult economy, they're having better neutral fights, they're having better positioning, they really set up those neutral fights. Across the board, WGS is just getting out mechanically skilled, and it's showing more and more as the series has gone on, especially as we've gone to maps that do require a little bit more in terms of coordination and prep beyond what you'd normally see on Control. And it puts WGS in a really tough spot because now we're swapping rounds. That not only do they have to raise their level of play compared to what we've seen, but they also have to do so to such a degree that they need to match a 3-minute and 17-second time where, remember, this is a good enough time that WGS cannot finish out the map in overtime. If they do that, then it is merely drawable, and drawable is not good enough. If it's a draw, EM wins the series outright.
WGS now rolling out on this offense. Potentially going out triple DPS, but I think Gibbleshoe was just going to be poking, getting the scout. They're going to be swapping out to the Zarya, more than likely. As EM running their standard Sombra codes. WGS making that swap as well. So we have a full mirror here once again. No Zens, just on us for both squads on the field. And the honor for defense, it makes a lot of sense. We see it for a lot of hybrid maps and for assault maps still, especially when you're potentially running against that DPS and against the Sombra because you can build that nano very quickly. It's a defensive ult. Easy to win for the first fight. The WGS are looking to enter the point.
Well, WGS, again, taking quite a bit of time to rotate over and in. Already 45 seconds off the clock. And EM really, so far, hasn't had to adjust much. Gonna drop down, look to protect the back alleyway. MCD going over to the cafe, slightly better positioning for that. And actually a decent area to land a good bionade. WGS has to be careful as they move in. They don't get caught on the other side. And they're just taking so much time in the poke battle right now. Already a minute is off the clock. And they're gonna roll forward. Heavy damage going on to Inocast. EM holding in the back, gonna move forward now. WGS under very heavy pressure. Bionade on Valentine, they're looking to finish it off. And Valentine still living despite the hack and Bionade.
Valentine lives, but look at EM's ult bank. Doha already to that EMP. They have the Shatter, EMP Shatter available. WGS, if they want to win this fight, they need to try to get that initiation with the EMP first.
Well, the EMP comes out first from Dawn on the other side, setting up the Shatter from Alpha, knocking 3 to the ground. And that is a one fight from EM. But again, the tough part for WGS is that was a long dance for WGS. That wasn't a short waltz in any respect of time here. It took them a long time to set up for that fight. Now the fight has gone against them.
They're still delaying Noah, by the way. Noah is still currently being delayed. He is now finally dead. That was a huge stagger. They were down 2 picks, and instead of committing to the fight, a lot of teams would have panicked. EM was like, don't worry. We have the spawns. We have people here. We can stagger Noah for a million years.
And again, time is the main issue that is at hand here. WGS has had one full fight, and they're already down half their time bank. That is incredibly tough. Ace here in the back, fighting Doha, Sombra v Sombra battle, except Doha, as always, getting very good support. Armor pack on him, forces Ace back. And look at this, grab to the other side while Ace is out of the fight. That was a quick engage from EM when they knew they had the advantage.
The grab used the nade, also catching several, so they couldn't even use any ults, defensive ults if they wanted to. But WGS, they're not even that close to any of their defensive. Noah's coming up on another nano relatively soon. Oporochi finally getting close to his beat. But EM already, Doha has another EMP. They have EMP Shatter. And when you're looking at WGS, because they don't have these defensives, once again, they're looking at a situation where they must engage first if they want to stay in this fight and then hopefully close it out with Gableshee's grab.
The issue is that WGS wants the EMP first, but you can't really EMP first when Element Mystic was in the high ground position they were there. They wouldn't be able to fall through on their own EMP. They have to wait to rotate all the way around. And now Doha can drop the EMP at any time. Drops the EMP first. Ace still laying back and drop the EMP right after, but it's not in time to save Inocast or Valentine. The front line is decimated, and Element Mystic taking another fight.
It's not in time. It's not even out of time. I don't think there was any time at all involved in that EMP because that was so far after the fight was done. The EMP shatter had already taken place. And you see now a stagger
He's
coming
gonna try
out.
not to hit the wall. No. Okay.
Well, Doha shoots in for some ult charge. And now we're to this is the last fight for WGS. They used Rally, they used EMP, but there is hope on the horizon. Unique had dropped that beat in that fight. WGS has grab, they have double support. There is no EMP, there is no grab just yet. They cannot mess around with rotations because there's a team that gets ult value off of rotations. Element Mystic, it's time to take the fight to point and just look for a grab.
WGS this time, they are swift, they go direct to this point, and they get in relatively uncontested. EM, they're lower on ults, they want to wait for Doha to build up the EMP, but this is smart. Again, using their currency, which is the time on the point, to buy Doha time to get EMP. Doha gets hacked, so to slow him down a little bit. The hack is gone, the EMP is ready. Now EM, they're good to go. They're gonna drop the EMP, they dive on in. Good beat though, coming up from Orochi, keeping WGS in the fight. The problem is, the Graviton coming in right after, they don't have as big of a response, but Doha's down. And the beat might have been enough for WGS, even with the grab right after. Alpha gonna fall, cast with the pin, and WGS, they stay alive.
They stay alive is actually Hanba going to be popping the rally. He's getting healed by MCD, but they can't contest this point. So this rally is not going to be available. MCD and Hanba now going to get staggered potentially. No, he's just going to run away, keeping his life up. And WGS, they made the right play. They went to point. Overwatch and Noah making sure not to get caught by the EMP, keeping their team up with both of the support ults. Then they all they had to do was grab, look for the shatter, which Xenocast did while Alpha slept. And they made the right pick. Now can they move it forward? Can they continue? Because they're already vastly behind in the time bank.
Well, they have a good opportunity to snowball to a degree here. They have the EMP up against a mostly drained EM team. The EMP gonna strike 5, and WGS more than willing to fall on through. Alpha falling immediately. And that's the type of just clean fight that they need from here on out, because they're in a really big time bank deficit. No matter what, even if they win every fight from here on out, they're still going to have a slower time than what EM put on the board 1 round to go.
It's a clean fight, but they had to commit 2 ults in a situation where they're already down in time, and now EM has saved their ult ult charges. They're coming back in. They will have Shatter, EMP. They will have a support ult. And WGS really not close to anything. So Noah's going to have to get a lot of value. He can't get caught by the EMP when it's engaged. He's going to have to use the Nano to hopefully keep Xenocast alive from this aggression, because they keep Xenocast up. There is a Shatter post-fight, and that shield will be important to keep Gable Sheet in there. So they can't get caught by the EMP. They can't get caught by the Shatter.
Hurdle 1 is on the way. Doha has built up another EMP, waiting for the opportunity. Over the top, here comes Doha. Use the EMP, hits 4. But the Nano gonna go on the Xenocast. That's a really nice Nano boost to neutralize the EMP. Shatter coming in from Alpha. The other side, WGS gonna shrug it on off. And EM, a little bit of trouble here. WGS coming in hot. Gonna have the Shatter dropped. They don't quite hit what they want to. Both teams back and forth. Nano and beat up here for EM. They're going to be seeing the Graviton in from WGS, countered by EM. They win the high ground battle, and EM repelling WGS. And again, the scary part there, that was a long fight, only 30 seconds remaining.
A long fight and ults used for WGS, and most importantly, what a disastrous grab for Gableshi, who they do everything right. WGS does everything right to keep Xenocast alive in that fight, and all they had to do was set up their EMP, set up their grab, and have a good engage. But Gableshi grabs, catches 2, but Sparkle's so split from the rest of them that WGS's backline goes to clean up, and all MC does is nano Sparkle and then kill the backline with a counter grab.
Doha finds Mick on Orochi, and now WGS, they move with the EMP, but it is a 6-on-5, and they are the 5. EM, bigger numbers on the point. They can just simply roll into WGS, and that's going to be it. WGS held off here. Point B on Hollywood. That is the series going to EM. The champs pick up where they left off.
So bye-bye WGS, starting up the season a little rough. That is the series. Now they still will be playing for map score. There's one more map left in the series, and map score is important. We saw map score make a huge difference in Korean Contenders last season. And you see right now, this is the disastrous grab we're talking about, where Gableshi, he grabs on high ground, is unable to catch any of those frags, and because it's only Sparkle in front of everyone, MCD just gives the nano, and he just solos. Sparkle does the entire backline and Gableshi. They just, all they had to do was have a better setup. They did everything right to survive until then, but they just did not have the grab they needed.
I think the bigger storyline for me in all of this is that we can analyze point B heavily, but to me, point A is where things were lost, where if you look back at it, for the first 2 fights, Element Mystic was averaging about 1.5 minutes for one full fight. And when you are on attack, especially on hybrid, you need to be getting the point quicker. You need resolution one way or another, because when you're going on these incredibly long rotations, yeah, both teams are building up ults, but should you be on the losing end, the odds that you end up in a situation where you have a clear advantage, a lot less likely. But we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll see if WGS can get at least one map on the board. Element Mystic has been gaining in strength over the course of the series, every map looking better than the last, but what else would you expect from the champions, not only of last Korean Contenders, but also of the Pacific Showdown? 3-0 over the retooled WGS squad. And, you know, for WGS, if I had to really describe them in one word versus EM right now, sluggish.
Sluggish, scared, I mean, just not able to execute. And we were reviewing it during the last map, but you're playing a Sombra Goats Mirror on Hollywood, and you're on offense. The longer the fights take, the worse it is for you, not only in general because defense wants to take slow fights, but also you're playing Sombra Goats Mirror against Doha. Every rotation you take is 50% EMP for Doha, and that's exactly what happened. And they just can't play this slow. They need to be executing much faster.
No, I mean, you think about it, it took 3 fights on Hollywood Point A to drain the entire clock, and then their 4th fight was the emergency, well, we're out of time, let's hope it works. And it did work, and unsurprisingly enough, that was the one fight where they went directly to point. So there's definitely a back and forth, and you don't want to be taking that long on your rotations. But now we move over to the one and only Havana map that, you know, watching it evolve has been interesting. It's still a map that I'd argue we see a lot of first point holds on, a lot of trouble, especially getting through point B, where point B was just designed in a government lab to be as difficult as possible for an offense to get through. And, you know, it's a map that definitely favors well-coordinated defenses.
It's going to be EM, which is the definition of a well-coordinated team in general. And you want to talk about a team that's going to be able to utilize point B and point A to max effectiveness with Sombra is EM. They're going to be rotating around you. They're going to be giving Doha this value on the rotations on the EMP build. And once you get to point B, then you're going to have Hanbin and Doha counter-rotating up through the hang, left and right, front and center all the time. So WGS, when you're looking at Havana in particular and the narrative we've seen in this match, even though this series may be over for them, if they want to take the map score, which is so important, we've seen it be important, particularly in Korea last season.
Yes.
They need to be faster. They need to be more decisive.
Ask MVP Space how they feel about map score as a tiebreaker for getting into playoffs and staying alive, is pretty much all I have to say about that, where, you know, it's important to the degree that literally we had a final match, if you were not watching last season, where a team had to win one map to make playoffs, and they got 4-0'd. So, yes, map score, very important, and even in the series
not only did they not make playoffs, then they're no longer in Contenders.
Yes.
Because Korea, the relegation is in Korean Contenders, there's a tough penalty And there's a lot of teams wanting to get in. There's a lot of teams that can be moved out. So like, cap score is so important.
Now we're getting ready to set up here on Havana. The gates are about to be open. It's going to be EM here first on the attack. And interestingly enough, a lot of teams after winning will choose to defend first, but EM, they want the practice of the Havana attack.
The WGS, they're playing Sombra goes with Batiste as well, so it is a triple support, a 3-3.
So much shield pressure.
So much shield pressure.
That EM just dictating the terms of fight here. Inocast running for his life. And the shield pressure, I mean, still moving on in. Inocast starting to pay a penalty in life as EM gets through what is essentially almost a battle won without anyone falling. And Inocast still under very heavy pressure now. Immortality Field coming up to let WGS move forward just a little bit more, but the Immortality Field is down. It's a long cooldown, and EM's pressure right now has been unrelenting, and Doa very close to that first EMP.
And there's the amplification matrix, though. That is what WGS were playing for. Doa is down. WGS should win the overall shield war as Element Mystic are forced to back up. And part of the reason why EM was being so aggressive there is they know that in the initial neutral fights, they're a lot stronger. They have the Brigida, which can save their team from certain death. They have the extra shield presence from the Bash, from the Flail, from the Inspire. So they have that extra neutral fight. But at WGS, all they were playing for was amplification matrix. What they got, they win the fight off of it, and now they have some of their own. But know what? He can't get caught by this EMP. Doa will have it. He can't get caught. He is hacked. No trance available.
Doa goes that back, immediately drops the EMP, and even giving his life, it's decisive for Element Mystic. They're able to move forward, and this is going to be point A for them. And again, it's easy to underrate, but even though they lost a player and had to back out, they had so much pressure on WGS that they essentially got a free fight that never was.
I mean, most importantly is that this point, it takes so long for a variety of teams to get through first because of the spawn camp potential, the fight in the streets, then the fight of the Reed contest. But it was really 2 fights because they gave us so much cart pressure, because that shield pressure, because that pressure that Element Mystic gave them. And first it'd be a lot harder to cap, and because of it, they also don't hold this high ground, this initial very early first hold on point B.
EM has very favorable position here for being an attack on point B Havana. Heavy pressure though, moving in. Alpha gonna fall. The EMP just sealing his fate after falling to the ground. And this is quite good for WGS because the payload hasn't gone up enough to where WGS has to be further back. Instead, WGS can get into what is a very difficult spot for an offense to attack.
They aren't running that diva, so there isn't someone to sit there in the hangar and use that for cart contest all the time. But they have amplification matrix now. This next fight, they should know that MCD does not have the trance, so amp matrix, win the shield war, win the fight with 1 ult. They're actually going to drop the grab too, counter grab by Sparkle.
That's a really nice amp matrix setup though. They're going to be keeping EM safe enough, but most of them already poked down. EM having to back up a bit, and that's one of the best uses of amp matrix I think I've seen, because there is no way that most people in the team wouldn't be getting value in that grab-v-grab standoff.
And Gableshe, he's so isolated. He needs to be able to get out. He can't get caught here. He's going to be discorded. He should go down. Oh, the Immortality Field. Incredibly good Immortality Field. Gableshe recognized that he was so caught out. But WGS, they've still given up their position, and now Doa has EMP.
Inocast just way too out of position there, going to fall. EM following through. I like some of the reads that we saw from WGS there, but in the end, EM just playing very mechanically solid. They end up finding a moment of weakness. They move on through, and I don't think WGS gets another attempt here on point B. I think this is in the bag for EM. They're going to have a lot of time to try and bring this into point C.
I mean, that's the story for this series so far, is that WGS have good reads, but they can't execute. They can't execute because Element Mystic individually right now are just so much better. And WGS, they had that amp matrix, but they couldn't follow up. They couldn't get the shatter value. They couldn't get anything off that initial setup. Had to give up their position. Now EM, they still have that EMP. Noah does not have trance just yet, so Overwatch can't get caught. See some early pressure making Doa translocate.
WGS be holding back here. They don't go for the EMP immediately. And Inocast in danger. Heavy focus fire. The bubble already gone. And Ace dropping EMP just saving Inocast, but Overwatch off the side of the map. Not quite sure what happened there. 6-on-5. EMP now out from EM. And they're going to take this fight. They like where it was going. And the front line from WGS is down. Very decisive for EM. WGS might be down to their final fight.
Final fight, and EM once again just playing it, just forcing errors out of WGS where there shouldn't be those errors. They walk forward, they force the bubble, they use the bash to just put the pressure onto the Reinhardt. WGS feel pressure, they're like, oh, they're very close. Let's use our Transcendence early and then counter EMP. But EM were so spread. EM were so spread, they still had ults of their own, and then they win the fight. Now Sparkle has grab. There's no trance for Noah. Oporoshi cannot get caught by Doha. He can't get caught by a bash. He needs to stay alive here. He needs to get value from his feet.
Grab time in here for some WGS. Use the Amp Matrix on top of it. Good damage heading into the grab and gives WGS a fight. The problem is that EM still has 2 minutes and 50 seconds left to move on in. So it's the first fight of many that they need to take.
First fight, and they just use grab Amp Matrix. So they're coming up on that double portal, and they still have Shatter. But EM now will have beat. They'll have grab of their own. They'll have Shatter. So I mean, when you look at EM's sort of their ult plan and how they approach this fight is, well, we're going to grab. We'll force beat. Doha will build an EMP during this because that's what Doha does, and then we EMP Shatter, more than likely. And if anything goes wrong, Unique can beat. So
also, there's a big window here for Sparkle. Noah doesn't have the Transcendence just yet, though the window rapidly closing. Transcendence up. So Graviton, even as it comes in, doesn't get anyone, and EM just moving forward, getting through on the other side. Shatter in from Alpha, and EM, again, just mechanically finding a window. WGS falling, and this is going to be a quick time.
And once again, the profit comes into effect there for me, because that's exactly what happened as I called it. Because the reality is for EM, they're playing so perfectly that us as an outside, and they're so far above WGS's execution right now that I could sit there and be like, okay, their ult economy is very well set up. It's perfectly set up, one could say. And they're just going to make the following moves to win the game. And that's exactly what they do. They walk forward, they put pressure, they look for the grab. As you see, it comes out right here. They get a little low, so Unique beats, which is fine. And then they have EMP for post-fight, which I didn't even need. So it's just, they're just so mechanically advanced, so teamworkly, so much more on a team cohesion level advanced than WGS right now. And they're having any trouble at all finding an opening.
And again, think about the confidence for EM moving into here, where EM is just taking this match as practice at this point, because generally speaking, now there are reasons as why a team might go against it, but usually in Contenders, a team that's winning, when they're really worried about doing the absolute best, they will usually decide to defend first so they know what they have to do on their attack. But EM says, you know what, Havana, we're going to be playing this a lot more. We actually want a little bit of extra practice. We want to go attack first. And now they've just put pure fear in the WGS, where WGS not only needs to finish out the map here, but also you take a look at the time bank that EM has in reserve. You know, really, if WGS wants a decent attempt in extra rounds, should they finish out the map, they also have to do it with time remaining, where, I mean, not easy on Havana, to put it mildly, especially when there's a non-zero chance they just get held at first.
And EM are actually holding remarkably far back, considering that they could be so much more aggressive. They're only going to be having Doha look for poke at spawn. WGS, they see the comp, they're going to make this co-op, so they're going to go for the mirror matchup. So they will have Noah on that Zenyatta rather than Diana. So a bit better reliability to survive in these fights, a little bit more shield pressure. They need to make sure that Noah stays alive, because Doha will be constantly looking for presence on that backline, looking for that poke. And Noah actually goes back and swaps to Diana. They don't even want to attempt to have this in to win shield war, to have that trance. They'd rather just play Honest, so he's more survivable, and they have the Nano.
The one big key difference between the two teams here is that EM is challenging WGS a lot more around this corner. They're not giving this up anywhere near as free. And now they're moving on in. Inocast in real danger, gonna fall. Just a good read from Element Mystic. They take the opportunity to move forward, win the shield battle, go into the Rhine, and now WGS going to be fully thrown back to spawn.
And WGS going back to spawn now. Doha already 85% to EMP. Anbin also ahead in the Rally War. So the ult economy game going well for EM. For WGS, when they look at these engages, the neutral fight's going to be so important for them, but they're already going to be a potential to be ult cycled. So I have to find an opening pick, have some pressure where they can get the space.
Well, they're about to be fully washed by the ultimate washing machine, because Doha has EMP ready. Ace not really close. EMP out, and Oporochi immediately down. Alpha takes the opportunity to just walk into WGS. Upside for WGS, they should have EMP for next fight, but this is still a really big edge to Element Mystic. 2 minutes burned off the clock.
So the EMP invested for Doha, but EM have 5 ults. And notice Oporochi, Noah not that close to the supports. Noah will probably get Nano, but since there's no beat available for Oporochi yet in this fight, it's unlikely that he does get it. For WGS, they're looking at another scenario where they need to EMP first. They need to EMP
They need
or
to
grab
EMP
and force
before
that beat
Graviton
from
comes
Unique.
out. It is the key part here, because Sparkle's going to be looking for the very early grab. And oh, the Graviton in from WGS doesn't hit anyone. It's completely off the mark. Meanwhile, Sparkle very much on. And that is a full wipe in favor of EM.
A full wipe. The grab completely missed. The grab definitely was not finding its target there. He was hoping to catch one. Which is just going to make a swap on a Widow. I guess a quick rage swap on the Widow, maybe looking for a pick, but now going back to Zarya. So EM win that fight. Doha coming up on another EMP very soon. Unique has managed to hold on to his beat despite the grab as well. So still able to hide, waiting for Ace's EMP. They need that counter.
So you see Valentine moving in EM, using the early rally, but Alpha gonna fall. So EM getting a little bit too aggro, start things out there. They lose Alpha, but the thing about Havana is that if they fall here, they're still gonna be able to head out on another fight. And Doha has EMP, so even losing this and just getting some ulti at WGS, not the worst for EM, given that their end goal here is the first point hold as they head into the final fight.
Final fight with an EMP, with a beat. They know Gibblesheet does not have Grav. They know that Ace doesn't have the EMP. So they can look forward, just set up their EMP Shatter. WGS, so you have to play split. Their backline cannot get caught by this. They ideally only want Enocast to be the one to take the brunt of this EMP.
Well, it's going to be dangerous. Hanban going to be hacked earlier on. No armor pack up here from Alpha, but Alpha just going to walk on back. And this is final fight territory, final 23 seconds. Doha holding on to the EMP. Ace trying to build up, won't get it in time. EMP out from Doha, and there's a shadow from Alpha. In response, puts Valentine on the ground. Enocast, though, still totally fine. Beat comes out. WGS still in the fight. A shadow from Enocast on their side. Unique onto the ground. And there's EMP on the Element Mystic. Hitting 5. Ace builds up middle of the fight. Hanban going to fall. And WGS, they buy themselves some time. They're going to be moving into point B.
And that was the fight they needed to win, and they did it expertly. They made sure their backline was not caught by EMP. A good beat from Oporochi. They had the Nano out there. Everyone survives, and EM almost had a situation where despite that shatter, they could have kept their backline up. The MCD uses the Nano to actually on Unique the Nano Lucio just to have him survive the pin, but their positioning was already lost. The health was already worse off for them. They already lost those early picks. So WGS get to move forward. They get to break this early hold 2 that Element Mystic could have had. And they have grab early, knowing that Unique does not have beat. So this grab early could be something all they need to just
get people into the Graviton this time. It's a very simple adjustment. Just grab the other team, so to speak. And the Graviton can be coming out here. It does pull in 3, but the problem is the boom. It buys them so much time. Sparkle might be low, Hanban is low, but they're able to get away. They're going to pop the rally. EM gets a chance to revitalize here. And that was a dangerous Graviton to actually be able to fall through just because of how easy it is to get displaced off the top.
And they just placed off the top, and Sparkle committed grab onto Enocast just to ensure that there was no cleanup. Doha has EMP, MCD coming up on the Nano. So WGS should look at the scenario, but look at Unique. Look how annoying he's being up on those canisters. Just denying the push for WGS. And EM, even if they lose this fight, they could potentially have a recontest.
Hack forcing him back a little bit. Hack on Unique now. Doha gonna respond. EMP of his own. Enocast is down on the middle of the bridge. Ace builds up EMP, but now down to Reinhardt. Likely have to save it. The issue that WGS has is that they're dealing with the time monster right now. Only a minute left and a long, long way to go.
A long way to go, and they're actually going to be committing the Nano. They're staying in this fight. They do have the EMP. They will come with the beat. But EM just backing up, giving up the space, which is fine because they need those spawners. And Sparkle, if he can get this grab off first, he can not only get that beat out of WGS, but also deny the potential push maybe with that EMP.
Sparkle hanging on to the Graviton here. Ace, EMP ready. Sparkle will be looking for the grab before the EMP. EM giving up a decent amount of space here. And while Doha's able to EMP build while this is going on, it's likely not going to be in time. Sparkle decides here's the time. Drops the Graviton, they fall through. EMP not out here from Ace. Instead, they have a very good beat. They deal with the Graviton. Alpha's already down, and Ace, man advantage. Might not even have to use the EMP here. This is well played by WGS.
And off that shadow from Enocast, that's going to be finishing off. Alpha going a little too aggressive with the pin, thinking that maybe he could survive. He had the resources to stay in that fight. Because if Alpha had lived, EM was in a much better position, but because Alpha goes down, sets up Enocast, sets up the rest of the fight. That is second going down, but when you look at the time bank, WGS is already behind, and EM still will look at this next fight, have the EMP, have the Shatter, have the double backline ult. So WGS, if they want to win this fight, once again in a situation where they either need to EMP first or grab first. One of the two. They need to engage first. They can't be engaged upon. They don't have those support ults.
Well, they do engage first. The EMP comes out directly to the back. Alpha gonna pay the price, but the rest of EM just running back. They lose Doa and Alpha, but not anything else. And again, the issue is that WGS is paying for the sins of their point A attack right now. Their point A attack was so incredibly slow that they are up against a very rough degree of time pressure here, where I think EM, if they delay this is actually one-fight territory.
Oh yes, we're coming down to I mean, it's really by the time the cart hits this gate, hits this choke, it's going to be 30 seconds. EM, they were fine to lose that fight because they didn't really have to commit any ults at all.
They're playing for the last fight. They're just actually giving them so much cart space because they know they can win it in one fight.
See if they can look for that engage. Gavelshi is also needing to get this grab first. They can't let the EMP shatter come out. They need to look for the grab.
Well, again, they're more than willing to just wait. They know they have such a huge ult advantage. Doa finally decides to drop the EMP. The shatter moves on in. Nano, did he keep Cast alive? Not over yet for WGS. The Bionate to their side forces out the beat. Element Mystic fighting tooth and nail back the other way. Grabs on in for Gavelshi. They're looking for anything right now. Can they get the fall through? Alpha gonna fall. WGS still in it. 6 on 5. EM, they were playing the time game. They thought they had the advantage, but WGS starting to punish them. 6 on 4. EM in real danger here. Sparkle is going to get the Graviton up towards the end. There's not a whole lot to deal with it, but the EMP strikes before the grab can connect. And WGS still alive. They're moving in towards the end. The payload going forward. If they get rid of Alpha, that's going to be it. Overtime in progress. And WGS finishes out here on Havana. What a great, great final fight for WGS.
WGS managed to make it work without having to grab first. They got EMP, the shatter goes out, but the nano was exactly when they needed it. They popped the rally preemptively. They had the peel they needed to keep Enocast alive. As you see right here, the nano onto Enocast, the bubble, the rally, everything for WGS invested to Enocast. And even though the Sombra caught many others, EM didn't have any ults to follow up. They didn't get the big enough shatter. They weren't able to go aggressive. So WGS playing that perfectly, even though they weren't able to get that grab first. They had the resources they need to survive. So well
again, the main thing that I'm going to give enormous amounts of credit to there is Nano Boost. The Nano Boost saves Eno in the nick of time, where the main goal for EM after using EMP Shatter was destroy Eno. But they don't get the Ana in it. Noah's able to drop the Nano at the right time. They're able to keep the bulk of their team up and healthy. And they turn around the fight, and as a result, now we go to extra rounds, where as exciting as it was, given that WGS really had to get over an enormous just time disadvantage. They're still at a time disadvantage here. EM 3 minutes ago on their first attack, WGS only a minute. They really cannot afford to lose much of anything fight-wise.
Very hiccupy today, ZP. Very hiccupy. As it is a minute, and like you talked about, there's not a lot of time on the clock. And considering how slow WGS has been taking this, it's essentially one fight. We're essentially at one fight with the pace that WG has. And by the time, and Element Mystic EC are not even going to be bothering with some early contests. So they managed to catch Doha. They actually managed to get the sleep and get the frag.
Again, Noah playing out of his mind right now for WGS. Good nanos, good sleeps. And EM, they're not going to be able to rely on the usual crutch of Doha getting a quicker EMP here.
So now WGS, they get that pick. They're continuing to move the cart when EM would have wanted to take this fight much earlier. They have to wait for Doha. They have to wait for the EMP to continue to be built. Now they've been dropping down 2 anti for WGS, though.
Oh, that was a real nice drop down. Caught Valentine out of position. No one left to armor pack Enocast. Enocast's going to fall. And EM, this is the final fight. This is unfortunate for WGS. They had momentum, but that drop down was all that EM needed. Assassinating from above. And now WGS, if they want to take this map, they're going to need an even fuller hold with 3 minutes staring them directly in the face.
So now WGS, they could theoretically have a hold here because Havana, there's a long space to go just from the spawn to where the cart's at. There's a real potential that if they're fast enough, they could do a spawn camp and then come back and have another recontest. Or if they're feeling unsafe, they just play up on the high ground, play for that one fight. But it's got to be a perfect fight. Because the problem with having imperfect offenses is that now you have to have perfect defenses. And that's very hard to do, especially against a team like Element Mystic, which is going to be forcing that Sombra a lot. And EMP is such a good fight winner.
It's quite is that hot sauce that we're seeing there?
Looks closer to like a brandy or a whiskey almost, but they're omnics, so it's like an oil.
It's probably motor oil in universe, right? Is that, you know, just exquisite motor oil for whatever uses that omnics have on it. Regardless, heading into the final round here, Element Mystic with still an overwhelming advantage. I mean, WGS, you think about the position they find themselves in, WGS could win 4, if not 5 fights and still lose the map. That is the power of EM just having a far superior time bank.
See EM rolling out here. And running the Sombra Goats, we'll have MCD on the Xin rather than the Ana. I like the Xin pick for multiple reasons. Primarily because you're more survival in the combos. You also can save your trance for the one fight that you need it. And then just use that Discord effectively to get those focus fire kills. WGS looking to hold here.
EM holding here on the point. WGS looking for a key play. They get Spark early. That's one part of it. Get by a little bit more time, about 40 seconds burned off the clock thus far. I'm then gonna fall. The issue here is that you can win the first fight, but at some point you're gonna have to commit ultimates, and EM can just hold back and just stack the odds in their favor for one final decisive fight.
I mean, EM already are about to have the EMP, about to have the trance, and Ace actually getting out of that invis, getting caught by Unique. And if I'm EM, I don't commit anything until I know I have System, until I have the advantage. You see the Nano's out, Alpha will go down, but EM doesn't have to commit. They can just leave.
Still pretty good for EM in terms of the overall pace of the game here, where this is one fight territory. The payload is far enough up. The Nano boost, they got rid of it, so the only problem here for EM is that Alpha's been dying so early that they don't even have EMP Shatter up right now, so they can't.
No, they don't have EMP
rely
Shatter.
on that.
They don't have that, but they will probably get it in this fight. And even if they don't, they'll have the rest of their ults where WGS is going to have to invest that ult to win this fight. The EMP comes out. EM's going to go down. They're going to decide to commit the trance, actually.
The Transcendence isn't bad. The Shadow committing Mino cast, but the Transcendence still keeping alive. Doha countering with the EMP of his own. 5 members of WGS struck, and 3 going to hit the ground. And that's going to be it. WGS, a valiant attempt here on Havana, but it's not going to be enough. Still haunted by the demons of their own first attack. Element Mystic moving forward. They finish out the map. It's a 4-0 for the champions.
4-0, clean as a whistle. And that is the scenario where in that last fight where that EMP comes out, and it's a good EMP, it forces the trance. Noah, most crucially, was hacked. Doha has the hack on Noah when that Transcendence comes out, when that EMP comes out, which means there's no nade. No nade at all. And that is the power of having a Sombra like Doha and a team like Element Mystic, where they play around those fights so perfectly, where they're fine to commit trance because they know that Noah is hacked. There's not going to be a nade. There's not going to be anything to stop that damage, that anti. And that is just EM being EM. They're so hard to deal with when you have a Sombra of the caliber of Doha.
So the revamped WGS roster facing their first test of many in what is the most grueling 4-week schedule I think I've ever seen. There are things for WGS to look at and be like, okay, that went well, let's build on that. But EM living up to the reputation, playing very well here in their return match. But now, of course, it's just the first week where there's still a lot to be said, a lot to be benchmarked here. And looking ahead, our second match of the day that's going to be coming on up is going to be the runner-ups in O2 Blast taking on the newly back in Contenders Meta Athena squad.
Which will be a very good benchmark for Meta Athena. And also even a benchmark for O2, because we consider Fusion Uni's run through trials and now making it Contenders, where they sort of just destroyed Meta. It wasn't that close. It really was not that close in their matchup. And they just lost to Runaway in a very close series. So seeing how O2 performs against this meta squad is almost sort of a benchmark of where we can place Fusion Uni in comparison to O2 Blast, EM, and Runaway. It's where we can sort of see them all stacking up overall throughout the season to begin with. So a very interesting match for the overall season.
Very much so. I mean, I will save more of the thoughts on O2 after the break, but it's going to be interesting, to be sure, between the two teams, where in Korean Contenders, it was already one of the most competitive regions. Fusion Uni, of course, heading on in makes everything all the more interesting. But guys, we are going to be taking a short break. When we come back, our second and final match of the day, we'll be heading straight at you.